Good morning, fellow Plexers. I was involved in a little debate in the Plexaholics Facebook group when a member said they had just discovered IMDb, TVDB, and TMDB source IDs, all in reference to a Plex TV show. Well, I couldn't help myself. I chimed in to explain that IMDb, along with TMDB, the movie database, are valid source IDs for a Plex movie, and only TVDB and TMDB are valid for a TV series. So we've got the support article pulled up here, and if we drop down under some important notes, we see this last paragraph where it tells us we can use the TMDB source ID formatted like this, or the TVDB source ID formatted like this. And you have to remember that sometimes shows are listed slightly differently or the same or a lot differently between these two databases. And Plex, let's pull up Plex. Let's go to my default TV show library and edit it. By default, when you create a TV show library, it's pulling episode ordering from the TMDB, the movie database. So if you don't change that, you should name everything from the movie database. And if you have to name something from the TV database, either from aired or the DVD listing, you can change that at the show level. Edit the show and change episode ordering. It'll rescan. You might have to refresh metadata. Now, I think the TVDB is a better database to name from. It's more versatile, in my opinion. So I always change this when I set the library up, because all my media is named from the TVDB and not the movie database. But by default, it's the movie database if you don't make this change at the beginning or someplace midstream. Okay, so the person on the thread came back with this. While Plex does not directly use IMDb as a metadata source for TV shows, it can utilize IMDb IDs to help match TV shows. Plex's Fix Match feature allows you to specify an IMDb ID to find the correct show in Plex's internal database. Although Plex primarily uses the TV database and the movie database for TV show information, including the IMDb ID can be helpful way to resolve matching issues. So I want to test both things. I want to see if an IMDb source ID works, and then I want to see if you can fix match with the IMDb source ID. I know you can fix match with a TMDB or the TVDB source ID, and with a movie library, you fix match with the IMDb source ID number. So I've got some dummy files made up, and I've got them renamed simply Ghost and Manhunt, because there's multiple Manhunt TV shows and there's multiple Ghost TV shows. So however my default series scan in with simple naming, we're going to pick another version of it and then include the IMDb source ID to see if Plex then scans in that correct show. And if not, we'll rename them back to the simple names and then try fix match with the IMDb source IDs. So here's the source ID for this show, and here's the source ID for this other show. So that's the premise, and we're going to be doing it with my test Docker container server on my Synology DS1520 Plus with everything running off an SSD. The Docker container is running off an SSD, and the media is on an SSD volume also. So nothing's in this structure yet. I have Ghost, no year in the series folder name, season 01, and just very simple file names. And these are not real files.
Good evening, fellow Plex.
They're my typical dummy files that I use over and over to demonstrate things with. So the same for Manhunt. It's the same files. Okay, so let's get set up here so we can have two windows. All right, let me get to the test server. This one. And let me get into the correct library, and you see there's nothing there. Let's see if I can throw that today. I'm not good. There it is. Now I can't throw this way because I have another monitor over to the right. Alright, so we are going to drop both these shows in to the test folder structure at the same time. And if I remember right, this library or this test server is set up for automatic scanning. Let's see if we get the activity window going. Maybe it's not set up for automatic scanning. So let's scan that. Okay, so this scanned in as a 2007 series, and this scanned in as Ghost US. Let me do one thing, because I've discovered that if I pull both these folder structures out of the library, like this, let's do this. Hold on, let me take a note. My brain doesn't always have enough gas. So I'm taking note of which of these are which, so we can try another version of them. Okay, so here's something I've discovered a long time ago. If I remove these and scan the library again, I'll never end up with an empty library again. See how they're both still here? But now watch this. If I go in and steal a copy of this show and paste it in, all right, see, the automatic scanning happened, and then it dumped those two shows that it wouldn't dump once the library folder structure was empty. So I'm going to leave this in because I'm going to add and remove those two other folder structures a couple times. All right, so let's go to, where am I? Let's go here. So it's scanned in as this ghost. So let's find the British ghost. So let's add this as a source ID to see if we get that on the next scan. And I'm purposely not using a year because the year will tell Plex which series it is. Okay, and then the Manhunt 2017 scanned in, and I want to see if we can use the series ID from IMDb to get this series to scan in. Now, an IMDb source ID is for a TV show is valid in both MB and Jellyfin, but it's not supposed to be valid in Plex. Okay, so I just want to double check. It looks like I do have automatic library scanning turned on, but it wouldn't do it when I added the first two initial series for some reason. Okay, so let's move these back into that folder structure. Let's cut them, paste them in here, and see what we end up with. it worked with the IMDb source ID. This Plex dog just learned a new trick. Look at that. If I could catch my words, I would eat them. This is actually exciting. I love learning new tricks. All right, where am I looking? I got to get to the episode level. Let's make sure we've got all our metadata. It looks like we do. Look at that. Hey, I almost don't have to test the fixed match with the IMDb source ID, because if it scans in with the IMDb source ID, we have to know that the fixed match works. But let's test that just for the heck of it. So this is very interesting. Next, I'll have to try the TVDB source ID in a movie library. Maybe I'll just keep rolling, make this one video. This is actually pretty exciting. Of course, my type A personality wants, or actually my OCD personality more than the type A. The type A is gradually going away as I get older. The OCD stuff isn't. That's staying stable. The OCD side of my personality wants all the Plex's support articles to reflect what I've just discovered here today. All right, what didn't I do? Let's cut those and paste them here. Okay, these should rescan. And for good measure, let's do the Plex dance. Empty trash, go down to troubleshooting, and clean the bundles, which happens so fast on this tiny test server. Okay. Let's add them back. Let's see if we get the two original series, the US version of Ghost and the 2017 Manhunt. Yes, we got those back again. Alrighty, so let's do Ghost first with a fixed match. That's not what I was supposed to do. My filebot expressions are so great, I never fix match. Alright, so let's get rid of the year, and we'll put in just the database number and search, and it pops right up. Look at that. So this one will work also. Get rid of the year, paste in the IMDb source ID, and search, and of course it pops right up. Look at that. This dog is going to howl because I didn't want to learn these new tricks. But you can't unknow what you know. Look at that. That's so freaking cool to learn something new. Okay, so I'm going to pause the recording and get set up to repeat the same test with a TVDB source ID and a Plex movie library. So I'll be right back in a little bit. And I'm back. So we're going to name one movie Emma, and I'll pick this one and include the TVDB source ID. So I've got two movies from the same year, 1996, called Emma. I have another one from 2009, and I have a third from 2020. This is Emma period. This is Emma 2009, and these two are just plain Emma in this database. But of course, if you name a series from TVDB, you include the year in the proper series title. Over here at the movie database, if I clicked into this Emma, the year is just part of the proper name. So here's the different movies at TMDB for Gladiator. So let's do this one. That source ID. It's weird not typing a year for a movie. Well, actually, I can type the year for this one because there's two movies. Let me see what happens without the year. It'll be an equal test to what we did with the TV show. Okay, and we'll rename this one. Wrong database. Okay, and let's try to make this one the 1992 movie. Okay. I'll leave that off screen. And I'll throw them into this documentary movie library that only has one movie. And again, this is public domain. These are not real movies. Oh, what I need is movie folders. All right, now we're ready to rock and roll. Let's cut those and drop them into this folder. So I should see Gwyneth Paltrow for Emma, and I should see the older 1992 movie. I've got Gwyneth, and I've got the 1992 movie. Look at that. It works. It freaking works. So it's not documented, but it works. This dog has learned a new trick. So I can't trust what Plex says in their support articles as the law. And that's kind of interesting to me. So this is good practice. But if you love IMDb, you can use that as a source idea in a Plex TV show library. And if you want to work on a TVDB exclusively, I guess you can use that source ID in your movie library besides your TV show library. So I do want to show just one more time that for a TV show library, when you set it up new, under the advanced settings, it's set to pull episode ordering from the movie database. And again, I think the TV database is much more versatile. They allow virtual TV shows that never existed in their database, and that helps out a lot. And I've talked about that a lot with different FileBot videos and TV show naming videos I've done. So I won't go into all that here. Besides, if you collect all the Looney Tune shorts, they're movie shorts, starting from 1929, working your way up through the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and 90s. They're all movie shorts. If you name them to TMDB, they have to go in a movie library or from IMDb. At TVDB, they're part of a series called Looney Tunes with a year of 1929. It's a virtual series that helps us out. Tom and Jerry's like that. There's a Ken Burns Films virtual entry of all of his different documentaries. Instead of naming them after their individual documentary series name, you can group them all together by naming them for that virtual entry. And there's more, but those are the big ones that I like to name. So, happy plexing, and this dog learned a new trick. I can't help but say that one more time. Take care, and thanks for watching.